Jefferson County is putting a 10-month pause on new data centers following the lead of other municipalities. We're glad you're with us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Kyle Clark. So the city of Denver put a hold on data centers for the next year, while city leaders are apologizing for a data center under construction that will not be stopped.
9 News reporter Spencer Soisher is here. And Spencer, that data center is being built in one of the most polluted neighborhoods in the state.
Yeah, that one data center is under construction right now in Elyria, Swanson, and Denver City Council members wish they'd stopped that core site data center from being built when they had the chance.
My single biggest regret as a member of this council.
It's not every day a politician says sorry. 3 of them saying it in one night. There's something up.
We should have gone further and pushed back.
I'm sorry also that I did not stop that data center when we were asked for a $9 million in tax incentive.
At Monday's Denver City Council meeting, council members unanimously passed a 1-year moratorium on new data centers in the city. But the data center that prompted the moratorium in the first place is still being built. CoreSite's massive data center in Elyria, Swansea.
Our neighborhood doesn't deserve the impact of a data center, but no community does.
The data center plans to run 14 backup diesel generators when there are power blackouts near a health clinic in one of the most polluted zip codes you'll find.
That's sort of the end of it for me.
In 2023, the Denver City Council voted to clear the way for CoreSite's massive data center in Elyria, Swansea. Then a year later, CoreSite came back to the city to ask for $9 million in tax incentives. City council members didn't give it to the company, but think they could have stopped it then.
My single biggest regret as a member of this council is that after we killed that and the company withdrew that request, that it just simply did not occur to me that we could use our land use powers to stop this use by right.
City Councilwoman Sarah Parody says they could have. So does Council President Amanda Sandoval.
I was thinking about stopping that tax incentive. I hadn't thought about taking it a step further.
They're sorry they didn't stop this data center. Now, they could stop others like it.
I am so sorry that it came to this. It should not have come to this.
That $9 million tax incentive for CoreSite was brought to council by Mayor Mike Johnston's own Economic Development Office, who argued that this would improve the city's tax base and would bring jobs with it. The mayor, though, is supporting this 1-year moratorium. Live in Denver, Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
The cold conditions return to the metro area today, and that trend is expected to continue through the end of the week. We've got a little more rain in the forecast as well. Kathy, maybe not as much as we've seen.
It is raining out there pretty good right now.
Oh.
I just poked my head out into the 9 News backyard. So yeah, I didn't want you to be surprised. When you left the station, we will have some moderate rain showers overnight tonight, but less in the way of rain shower activity tomorrow, more widely scattered in nature and not quite as heavy as what we're seeing along the Front Range in some areas. Those roads and sidewalks are wet again. And now 60 straight hours with cloudy skies starting on Sunday, but also rain every single day. Temperatures holding in the 40s. We've been looking at temperatures trending some 20 degrees below average. Good chance of showers overnight and again tomorrow afternoon. So best to keep that rain gear handy. There's a big push of moisture from the south that will kind of help to fill in that I-25 corridor with some bands of moderate rain. And then we're seeing snow over Monument Hill, Palmer Divide, up around Winter Park into Grand Lake. So be prepared for winter driving conditions late tonight and tomorrow for those of you headed into Central City and Estes Park. In Denver, the showers are all around us, but we'll be filling in tonight, and we do expect that trend to continue through the wee hours of the morning. There will be some areas of patchy fog to deal with, maybe a little break tomorrow, and then we do this all over again. Temperatures are not going to move a whole lot over the next few hours. Coming up, more on the rain and snow forecast and a warmer, drier holiday weekend outlook in just a bit.
President Trump's approval numbers may be down, but he still has a grip on the Republican Party.
Continues to chew up and spit out any Republican who dares defy him as he lines up primary challengers and runs those GOP critics right out of office. Tonight it happened in Kentucky. 9 News anchor Philip Office, along with why a representative from Colorado, Phil, is watching closely.
Well, Kyle, that's because Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, as you know, went to Kentucky to campaign for Thomas Massie, a Republican who, like Boebert, called for the release of the Epstein files and broke with the president on some other issues as well. That made him a target of the president's wrath. And tonight, he lost his primary to a Trump-backed candidate and it wasn't even close. A ton of money poured into this district, to this race by Trump allies, making it the most expensive congressional race in history. The 7-term congressman now joins a growing list of Republicans whose careers have ended because they stepped out of line. With tonight's result, the president has helped oust one of the loudest Republican critics in Congress and sent a pretty powerful warning and a message to others who might dissent in any way. Boebert posted on X from a family event tonight saying only her friend and co-chair gave it his all in Kentucky. The Congresswoman is no stranger, as of late, to taking incoming from the president as well. He's called her a carpetbagger, weak-minded, and threatened to pull his endorsement. But unlike Massey, she has no primary challengers and won't face any challengers until the general election in one of Colorado's most conservative districts. Massey, by the way, still has 7 months left on his term and will most likely remain a thorn in Trump's side. Kyle?
Phil, thank you. Vice President J.D. Vance will be speaking at the Air Force Academy graduation ceremony next week. He'll address the more than 900 cadets as they're commissioned as officers in the Air Force and Space Force. The commencement ceremony is next Thursday, May 28th at Falcon Stadium. Today, Vice President Vance celebrated the upcoming release of Tina Peters and suggested that the president's ally could get taxpayer-funded compensation. The money would come from a new $1.7 billion fund that was set up to resolve President Trump's lawsuit against his own IRS over the leak of his tax returns. This money is supposed to go out to people who the Trump administration claims were targeted politically. Democratic Governor Jared Polis made the decision last Friday to free Peters by granting her clemency. The former Republican Mesa County clerk had served a bit more than a year of a nearly 9-year sentence for her role in allowing a breach of her county's election equipment. It was an unsuccessful attempt to uncover evidence of President Trump's election fraud claims.
This is a woman who, at worst, if you believe everything that the prosecutors said about her, committed misdemeanor trespassing, and somebody threw the book at her. This innocent grandmother was going to spend 10 years in prison, completely disproportionate to any misdemeanor trespassing that I've ever seen.
What the vice president said there is not true. A jury convicted Tina Peters of 4 felonies, 3 misdemeanors, not just misdemeanor trespassing. Peters' attorneys told us today it was too early to say if she is going to seek money from this fund.
New tonight, a former Lakewood police officer is accused of official misconduct and cyber crimes. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office arrested 42-year-old Christopher Gearhart today. Prosecutors say he intentionally muted his body camera during an arrest and conducted authorized searches for records. While looking through his work phone, investigators say they also found explicit photos and sexually suggestive conversations with former arrestees, witnesses, and victims. The DA's office says the investigation began last summer after a woman came forward about an encounter that she had with him. The DA's office says Gearhart worked for the agency from January of 2019 until he resigned in September of 2025 as he was under investigation. They say he now works as a non-sworn booking deputy at an ICE detention facility. The latest criminal case against a Coloradan found incompetent to stand trial could be resolved tomorrow. Austin Benson was charged with attempted murder after being accused of shooting at several people in Douglas County in 2018. Doctors determined he couldn't understand the proceedings or assist in his own defense. So a state law forced a judge to dismiss the criminal charges, and Benson was set free. Then in June of 2024, police say he used the exact same gun to shoot 3 people in Aurora. He was again found to be incompetent. Now he's expected to be committed to a locked mental health facility. Prosecutors also obtained an extreme risk protection order to prevent him from owning guns.
Advocates say they are seeing a rise in reports of immigrant exploitation here in Colorado. El Centro de los Trabajadores, a workers' rights nonprofit in North Denver, says it's hearing from at least 10 victims of wage theft or workplace exploitation each week. They say employers are having work done by immigrant laborers, then refusing to pay them, using threats of immigration enforcement as leverage. And it's not just at work, it's happening in residential settings as well. The ACLU just sued a landlord who now has to pay more than $182,000 after a judge found that he intimidated and harassed an immigrant family, threatening to report them to ICE.
There's grave concern that people will sort of prey on tenants that they perceive to be vulnerable because of their immigration status, and violate just basic protections that we have for tenants.
Advocates say cases like these are largely underreported because victims are scared to come forward. There are students right now who aren't just saying goodbye to high school during graduation season. They're also saying goodbye to communities they found after moving to this country.
One soon-to-be grad at Denver's North High School is leaving behind a legacy of helping others feel more at home. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us now with that story. Rachel.
Yeah, when Luis moved here 3.5 years ago, he felt alone. He set his mind to learning as much as he could, creating a club to help his fellow classmates do the same. Because of the ongoing immigration situation in the U.S., we're only using Luis's first name.
Como saben, ya yo me voy, nos vamos, algunos de nosotros, y otros se quedan. Entonces,
in any high school classroom,
entonces, ¿cómo podemos hacer que esto sea relajado, tranquilo y accesible para cada persona?
catching up with classmates is important. For members of one of North High's newest clubs, it's critical.
La mayoría de nuestros estudiantes son como personas que apenas están llegando al país.
Everyone here is a migrant, including the club's founder, Luis, who came to Colorado from Chile in 2023.
I used to live in Venezuela, but I left Venezuela when I was 11 years old.
His first few months here were tough.
Fear, the uncertainty, we didn't know what was going to happen to us.
Luis is one of 4,700 new-to-country kids that joined Denver Public Schools in the 23-24 school year. Many landed in North Denver.
In about the span of a month, we had the privilege of welcoming around 200 newcomers at North High School.
North High Principal Herman Echevarria says staff jumped in to help support students. After learning English, Luis jumped in too, starting the club to support newcomers.
Le recomendamos a esta persona que vaya al taller de reading, que vaya al taller de speaking, o a estas personas que vamos a hacer un taller de música.
In less than 2 weeks, Luis said many of his fellow migrants will leave DPS with their diplomas.
Even though I've seen it before, it still does not move me to tears to see how hard someone works when the opportunity is available.
For me, knowing that I'm doing something meaningful for my community and something meaningful for the school, it's like I feel complete. I feel I'm chasing a purpose in my life.
Luis's classmate Eric is taking over the club for him next year, hopeful to continue that tradition of support and learning for his classmates that Luis always brought to the group. As for Luis, after graduation, he's moving on to college at CU Boulder. Rachel Krause, 9 News.